Welcome to For the Record. I'm Ryan Recker. This morning we examined something that's become a tradition for families all across southwestern Pennsylvania and really the nation: scouting. The Boy Scouts, now rebranded as Scouting America, and the Girl Scouts, which offers opportunities for so many young women and girls across the region. Both help young people build lasting friendships and experience the outdoors. We start this half hour with a look at Scouting America from the local Laurel Highlands Council. Happy to be joined by Todd McGregor of the Laurel Highlands Council. And Todd, before we get into modern day specifics, how about a little history lesson as we reflect on the history of the Boy Scouts and also the mission?
Thank you. I appreciate that, and thanks for the invite, Ryan. Pleased to be here. Scouting started about 114 years ago when W.D. Boyce, believe it or not, a local, brought scouting in from England. So for 114 years, the mission of the Boy Scouts is to provide character education and leadership development in young people so that they can fulfill the best them that they are.
And how proud have you been to have been associated with the history and mission over the years?
Listen, I've been in scouting a whole long time, and I have overwhelming experience with it with my own two sons, and I can't be more proud to watch our young people grow. It's outstanding.
Over that time, certainly you have seen evolution all the way up now to a recent name change. It has changed to Scouting America. Can you give us the background on that name change and what it means and what its mission is now?
So the mission hasn't changed. So our mission remains character education, leadership development, and as many as young people as we can. The Scouting America really is a doing business as, or a nickname, as I call it. The Boy Scouts of America was chartered by the U.S. Congress in 1916. It would take an act of Congress to not be the Boy Scouts of America, but we took a 1-2 punch in the Boy Scouts here in the last few years. Punch number one was the financial restructuring of our national organization. And number two, COVID. COVID was particularly difficult on us because the premise of scouting is that you get together. And when we were unable to get together, it was very, very difficult for a lot of our programs. We have about 350 programs in a 14-county area. So nationally, we thought it wise to let people know we're alive, we're well, and rebrand ourselves and give ourselves a nickname, Scouting America.
And what that has done, as we understand it, is it's now created opportunities not just for boys, but girls as well under that Scouting America umbrella.
So girls have been able to join scouting, believe it or not, since 1947 with the inception of our Exploring program, which is a vocational and avocational program. So we've had young women in scouting since 1947. In 2019, we allowed young women to join the scouting program, the Boy Scout program, now Scouting America Scout program. So yes, it does fit under that moniker, but in my opinion, the real reason is to let people know we're alive and well. Come be a scout, bring us your children.
What type of reaction have you been able to gauge when it comes to the name change, and again, I'll use the word evolution, of the Boy Scouts to Scouting America?
It is an evolution, and I would say in scouting, we are so legacy driven. I'm actually heartfelt proud of our volunteers and our members for accepting the name changes willingly as they have.
And here we are at the end of the summer. I'm sure it's been an eventful summer and a fun summer. As you put a punctuation mark on this summer, what do you choose to reflect on here over these last few months?
It's been a delightful summer. We run 6 different camp properties, anywhere from Squatch Camp in Indiana County to Scouts at Work in Cumberland. Guyasuta will camp 65,000 camper days this year, and of course our big camp in Uniontown Heritage Reservation. Hundreds of thousands of instructional hours go into teaching kids character education, leadership development.
A lot of travel, but a lot of great experiences for you and your staff. Todd, we thank you for your time.
Thank you. God bless.
Still ahead on For the Record.
Scouting is definitely the most impactful thing I've ever done in my life.
A local Eagle Scout talks about her experiences, how she says scouting has prepared her for the future, and more on the opportunities available for local boys and girls. We welcome you back to For the Record. And next up, we want to talk more about the opportunities that young people that join Scouting America can experience, as well as how those opportunities have benefited one young Eagle Scout. I sit down with Mike Danaher, who is a camp ranger, as well as Eagle Scout Brenna Collery. Mike, let's first talk about scouting opportunities here in Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania area. What exists?
So we have 6 different camping properties in the Laurel Highlands Council. The most closest to Pittsburgh is the one that I'm the ranger at, which is Camp Gayasuda. We serve about 65,000 kids a year through overnight retreats, ropes course team building activities, kayaking on the river, environmental education through our local school systems, as well as dozens of other nonprofit organizations that Scouting America partners with.
In terms of recruitment, can you take us through that process and what that looks like?
Sure. So we're always recruiting members in Scouting, but this time of year is when we really kick off the program in August with our Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, Sea Exploring programs. And we're looking for members. So we have flyers that come out at school or e-blasts through school, or a website called beascout.org, which allows you to type in your address and do a search of the nearest unit near your community.
So for a family out there watching this, they want to get involved, is the website the best way to get started then?
It is, or you can go to our council website, which is lhcscouting.org, and has all the information pertaining to our organization, how to sign up for Scouting, and also how to support Scouting, and even purchase popcorn.
And also with us, Brenna, a tremendous example of rising through the program here and succeeding. Tell us about your early days in Scouting and how it all started for you.
Yeah, so I started in 2019 in February, which was the first month that females were allowed to be in the Scouting America program as scouts rather than in ventures. And I climbed through all of the ranks at a fairly normal rate. I was 12, which is when a boy would start this program too after Cub Scouts. And I progressed through all of the different ranks in Scouting and eventually got to Eagle Scout. And I'm 17, so I still have a little time to spare.
So in those 5 years, in that 5-year span, how would you describe that experience and everything you were able to accomplish?
Scouting is definitely the most impactful thing I've ever done in my life. I've learned so much leadership. I've been in multiple different leadership opportunities and positions in different troops and different camps in Scouting, and it's taught me so much about leadership and carrying myself and learning to work with others. It's definitely made me more confident and strong.
That's great. I'd also be curious about the friendships that you've made. I would anticipate lifelong friends.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we spend a lot of time together and we work together, especially at the summer camps where we press on the patrol method, meaning learning to work with people, your own peers of your own age, and it creates a bond and a work ethic that creates lifelong friendships.
When you have that title of Eagle Scout, that's a big title and that's a big honor. How proud are you to carry that?
I've never been more proud of an accomplishment in my life than I am of Eagle Scout. Everything everyone says about how people will respect you and expect more of you is absolutely true. And I'm very proud to be an Eagle Scout.
I would imagine now at your age 17, you're looking ahead to college or your next steps after high school. How much has this process prepared you, do you think, for that next step? And how attractive can that be when talking to colleges or to have that on your resume or college application moving forward?
Yeah, so in terms of preparation, I mean, it's made me much more confident in public speaking, and things like this I would not have been able to do without the confidence that Scouts has taught me and given me. And with preparation and applications, whenever you're filling out a college application and they ask you for any leadership things you have, and you have an Eagle Scout award on there, it definitely stands out. And I've had many people, counselors and college advisors, say that colleges are going to love to see that on your application.
Like, how about the inspiration that Brenna serves to youngsters out there that perhaps are watching this or that are becoming familiar with her story?
Yes, it's absolutely
quite a
amazing.
story, yeah.
She is totally a leader in our community, and we have lots of females just like her that are serving our community. Each year in November, we honor about 250 of this year's class of Eagle Scouts at Acrisure Stadium with Eagle Scout Recognition Dinner coming up, and we look forward to honoring Brenna and also her peers.
Brenna, I am curious, when you look ahead to college and a career, what would you like to do moving forward?
Yeah, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a high school teacher specifically, and I'm looking at more local colleges, Penn State and Pitt being my top two.
All right, well, we thank you so much, Brenna and Mike. We appreciate your time, and once again, congratulations on all of your success.
So before we go, on behalf of the council, we have the journalism and photography and movie making merit badges, and we'd like to give these to you.
Oh my
as
goodness.
You have done more than earned them
Thank
through your
you.
work.
What an honor for us here at WTAE Channel 4. This is great. Movie making, journalism, and photography. A great honor for us to receive this from you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Still ahead,
Mostly it's also friendship and fun.
more than cookies. How the Girl Scouts brings young women together to build bonds that last a lifetime. Welcome back to For the Record. Now, when many of us think of Girl Scouts, we think of these, the popular cookies that they sell in the winter and spring to help fund their activities. As Lisa Shade from the Girl Scouts of Western Pennsylvania told me, though, the organization is certainly about more than cookies.
Well, Girl Scouts was founded in 1912 by Juliette Gordon Low, and she really wanted to create a organization that, you know, girls can be a part of, so that they could have adventures and build skills and explore their leadership potential. And she really saw a lot of that potential in young girls and wanted to give them a path forward to be able to make the most of their opportunities and really through service and action really make their mark in the world.
I know you're deep and heavy into your recruitment season here as we end the summer and look ahead to the fall here. What does a young woman need to know that would want to sign up for the Girl Scouts?
Oh, if you're interested in Girl Scouts, troops are forming now. Back to school season is a big time to check out all the opportunities available in your area for Girl Scouts. And families who are interested could visit our website at gswpa.org and click on Join Us, and there's a link to a map. And there are hundreds of sign-up events in our communities right now. So those are events that are like back-to-school events at local schools, open houses, any type of place where people are gathering and gearing up to get back to school this season. Girl Scouts are there and ready to sign girls up and tell them about all that's available in our programs.
I want to touch on opportunities. You highlighted a couple of them there, but what opportunities tangibly do exist for someone joining the Girl Scouts?
Oh, well, there is so much that is available for Girl Scouts. And the good thing about our program is girls really get to explore their interests and decide what they want to do in the program. So, you know, girls who are interested in outdoor adventure, you know, certainly we have camps, we have partnerships with state parks, we have all kinds of opportunities for girls to explore the outdoors. If girls are more interested in STEM, we have programming to that, everything from, robotics to learning more about the stars to exploring careers in STEM, even just general skill building. There are tons of badges in Girl Scouts that help them try new things and build skills. And for families who are interested in learning more about that, Girl Scouts has a badge explorer on their website. So you could go on and look at all the different opportunities for girls to try new things and really expand their own skill base. And then, mostly it's also friendship and fun. In Girl Scouts, the connections are made sometimes that last a lifetime, not only with the other girls in the troop, finding their best friends there, but also really connecting to adults who inspire them. And if you talk to Girl Scouts who are adults and even a decade out of the program, they can still cite their troop leaders as some of the most influential adult role models in their lives.
There's so many avenues for education, activity, and then as you put it there, the friendships and networking. And I think that's a great thing for a young person to learn and experience, because networking is truly what can make a difference for you as an adult, as you carve out a career path and so forth.
Well, it is, and there are opportunities in Girl Scouts to obviously network with the girls in their troop, and work with their adult leaders. But there's lots of opportunity in Girl Scouts to explore what it's like to have to network with the general public too.
Yes.
So through our cookie program, especially booth sale season, girls are working with the general public, and they're prepared to talk about their goals in Girl Scouting, to talk about cookies and talk about the ingredients, hone their sales skills and their pitch. And really have that interaction with the general public. And then also in our higher awards program, the public mostly knows about the Gold Award. Girl Scouts have to work with people in their community and mobilize other organizations. When they identify something in the community that they want to change, they're the ones that have to go out and garner the support for that project and put all of that in motion to be able to achieve her goals and earn her Gold Award. So there are plenty of opportunities to network, more familiar with, their girls in their troop, other Girl Scouts, but then also to be out in the public and really building those skills and how to navigate the world and achieve what they want to achieve, have the experiences that they want, and really build those skills too.
You bring up such an interesting point, and what is so impressive about these young ladies are their communication skills. And how that is transferable to anything you do in life. Strong communication skills are important. It's so interesting to see them building those communication skills at such a young age.
It is, and Girl Scouts really does provide those types of opportunities for girls to really hone those skills and have those experiences. There are few places where I think you get that all in one place. And with Girl Scouts you do, and it's interesting too to sort of watch them, and the most public display of this probably is during cookie season, because you can watch girls at a booth, have the confidence to talk to people they don't know and tell them about what their goals are, what they hope to do with their cookie proceeds. And that is an experience in Girl Scouts that they get at a very young age. So that's why Girl Scouts, adults who were Girl Scouts are more likely to volunteer, they're more likely to continue their education, they're more likely to become business owners themselves. So a lot of those become foundational experiences to their success and their achievements later in life.
I'll follow up by asking, how can adults or perhaps family members, how can they be involved within the organization?
Well, there are absolutely no shortage of girls who want to be Girl Scouts, but where we need the most help to be able to deliver those experiences to girls and for them to take advantage of all the benefits that Girl Scouts offers, we need volunteers. So we need more adults to join our organization, to be those inspiring role models to help us make sure that these girls have these experiences and these foundational skills that help them in their future be successful, and then be able to return those favors as volunteers and role models later in life.
You mentioned the cookies a couple times.
Yes.
I was going to save the dessert for last. So here we go. Give us a preview what's ahead here as we approach cookie sales season. What can we expect?
Oh, yes. Well, cookies are definitely an exciting time in Girl Scouts. It's when they really get to try on their real world business skills.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of preparation toward the end of the year for girls to get organized, decide what their goals are, talk about what they want to do with their proceeds, which, you know, is usually a combination of adventures and community service, because that's also what funds those projects for girls. And then come cookie season, Girl Scouts will be out there in January with their order cards, asking, you know, their friends and family to support them. And then come booth season in March, that's when you're seeing Girl Scouts out in front of your home improvement store, your grocery store in your neighborhood. And that's when they're really building their skills and working with the public. Such an important phase. So I always tell people, if you run into Girl Scouts at a Girl Scout booth, ask them about what their goals are, what they want to do for community service, because that helps those girls, because they've prepared to have those conversations. So it certainly brings it full circle in being able to develop those skills.
And when it comes to buying cookies, you can't limit yourself to one box. You have to buy multiple, right?
Absolutely not. I mean, you know, I always say Girl Scout cookies are so much more than a delicious treat, because they do fund all the adventures and community service that Girl Scouts have on their agenda for the year, but they are delicious. And, you know, my weakness are you know, tag-alongs and do-si-dos.
Oh,
and,
my.
You know, it's difficult working for Girl Scouts because they're kind of everywhere, but yeah.
We could do a whole hour just on the cookies
Oh,
alone.
for sure.
But we will stop it there. And I do want to thank you for your time and your efforts, and I wish you continued success.
Well, thank you for having me.
And as we've been telling you this morning about the resources available with the Girl Scouts and Scouting America, we also want to let you know how you can easily find some quick information to learn more. We've posted a link at WTAE.com and on the WTAE app, and it contains more about signing up or volunteering and more details about what these organizations have to offer. Still to come on For the Record.
Really, it's an opportunity to inspire action.
An early look at next week's episode, focusing on the fight against food insecurity here in the Pittsburgh area.